for creativity, because when you have a 3-day snowstorm, you sit in your room and you make shit up. So this is a song that I wrote a long time ago. Our beloved friend Jolie Rickman Presente, she taught me a quote that said, "When the hen crows, the state will fall." That's Confucius. And so this hen's gonna crow. And at the end of the song, you just go, "Rootin' out the rooster." Okay, you wanna try that? "Rootin' out the rooster." Okay. Oh, Joe, where are you? Where'd he go? I'm gonna put him to work. That's Joe Driscoll, everybody.
Angry red, so drifting sand. They will be back. Don't go anywhere, folks. Okay, at this point we're going to switch moderators. Barry Carr, who organized the great display of electric vehicles, will now take over for the next part. Thank you, Barry.
How do you follow that? Thank you for the music, by the way. Looking forward to having you come back. I'm Barry Carr. I run the local outreach program, Clean Communities of Central New York. And thank you all for coming here. I want to very quickly thank the Burdick family from Drivers Village and all of our EV and plug-in EV owners who've shown up with clean vehicles today. Please take a look at them. And my next job is to introduce our next speaker, Dr. Colin Byer. He's an associate professor of ecology at SUNY ESF. He asked me not to read his whole bio, but I will go first line here. Dr. Colin Byer is a husband and father, and both a teacher and student of the natural world. Take it from there.
Thanks, everybody. That's a tough act to follow. You too, Barry, but absolutely calm. I'm a scientist. I'm not here today to convince you that climate change is real, that it's not a hoax. We have better things to do with our time. The evidence is all around us, and I can guess since you're here today, I don't need to make that case. Instead, I'm here to encourage you to maybe think a little bit differently about how we face this change. And to do that, I'd like to scale us down maybe to a little bit more of a local level for a minute. This part of the world is not only warming, but it's seeing an increasing frequency of extremes, breaking records, including some that seem inconsistent with a warmer world. For example, this past February was the warmest on record in central New York. The previous February, it was the coldest on record in central New York. We barely broke the freezing point all month, and we had an extra day to do it, and we didn't. Similarly, the last 200 years or so have been a historically very wet period in the northeast of North America, something climatologists call a pluvial. That's your new word for the day. The trend has really picked up. The wetting trend has really picked up in the last few decades. But last summer, what did we have? The worst drought in 50 years. Okay? These are just a couple of examples. The forecasts that we have suggest there are very good odds that we're going to set new records for heat waves, intense storms, late frost damage, maybe even droughts over the next several decades, possibly over the next decade, really. Add in the good chance that our winters are still occasionally going to be as severe as they were a couple generations ago, and that we're going to swing rapidly between these extremes. It's going to be a wild ride. Does that sound like fun? No! Put yourself in the shoes of a farmer, or a civil engineer, or a public health worker facing this kind of climate disruption and its impacts on their crops and their livestock, their bridges, or our bridges, and our drinking water systems, and our most vulnerable rural and urban populations. Or, in an attempt to put it into terms that our current administration might, and I say might understand, our economy is a wholly owned subsidiary of the environment. And our environment is the global conglomerate in which climate owns a controlling share. Climate has a new CEO. She's pissed off, and she's going to make life difficult for us if we don't get with the program. Now, mitigation, clean energy, reducing humans' impact on the climate system is the ultimate solution because it addresses the cause of the problem, our actions. But it will take time, and I hate to tell you, but the scientific reality is even if we stop all emissions tomorrow, we are locked in to some changes in our climate that are going to disrupt our livelihoods and the livelihoods of our children and grandchildren and at least 7 generations beyond. This points to the simultaneous and equally urgent need for adaptation. We can and we must also address the symptoms as well as the cause. Now, I know that some in this movement don't like this idea of adaptation. They think it's a cop-out. They think it's a straw man. And I agree that we cannot just pretend that we can adapt to these changes indefinitely without really suffering and causing a lot of suffering in the meantime. Yet our resilience is going to be tested whether we like it or not. So I cannot agree that learning to adapt, learning to cope, is a waste of time. I think actually mitigating our impact on the environment and adapting to the changes that are coming have to actually work hand in hand. And adaptation means observing changes in our typical weather, in our seasons, our natural cycles, and translating what these mean for us, for the human condition. And it is about changing our expectations for what is likely to occur and being prepared for a much more chaotic world than we've become so comfortable with. You can contribute to adaptation by being a conscientious observer or a citizen scientist, helping us to carefully describe how things are changing and how the impacts of those changes will have on your lives and those of your children and grandchildren. Consider where the resources that sustain you, where do they come from? The food on your table, the water in your cup, the air in your lungs. How climate disruption in those places is going to impact what you care about. Just the very fundamental life support systems. You can also contribute by being a conscientious ambassador or bridge builder. You can engage in dialogues with skeptics and those on the other side of the political spectrum. I know it's not easy. Trust me, and I'm going to share a little story of my first experiences with this. Now, I moved here 10 years ago from Alaska, okay? And I moved to the Adirondacks, a little place called Newcomb, where ESF has Huntington Forest. Newcomb! All right. In the high peaks of the Adirondacks. Now, I'm an ecologist. I'm very interested in how whole systems of people and nature function and how they change. And so naturally, I wanted to get up to speed on what was going on in the Adirondacks and go beyond the data to document what was happening on the ground. Unlike virtually all Alaskans, and there are some pretty wingnut ideologues in Alaska, who broadly recognize a changing climate and its impacts on their lives, many of the folks I met in the Adirondacks, especially the many generations, the multi-generational folks in the Adirondacks, recoiled when I asked them about how global warming was playing out in their neck of the woods. This may not surprise you, it surprised me. I was coming from a very red state to what I thought was a very blue state. Now, most said very little, they just walked away. A few said things that I won't repeat. But then one day I happened to be at a local government forum where a well-respected community leader was basically booed off the stage at the very suggestion of selling carbon offsets from Adirondack forests to both generate revenue and help combat global warming. The nerve. Seeing this, I realized I had to change tack, so I went back to basics, back to Psych 101. I said, what will almost anyone talk about? The weather. And what do elders like to talk about? How much better things were when they were kids, right? So I found ways to learn about climate change from the perspectives of those in the Adirondacks who have very strong political views, but who are also seeing it play out and have been affected by it. The anglers who don't trust the soundness of the lake ice nearly as much or for nearly as long as when they were younger. The family woodlot owners who have cut back or stopped tapping maples because the winter weather has become completely unpredictable. The hunters and trappers seeing changes in our wildlife populations that are consistent with a lack of consistent snowpack over the winter, which these animals require, and that's just to name a few. As these stories emerged, it became clear to me that these people were observing changes that in most cases were actually consistent with the scientific data and that not only came from their own experience, but added a lot of context for me about why the changes mattered to them. Where their observations were in conflict with what I knew from the data, I saw that as an opportunity to be a good scientist and be faithful to the scientific method and embrace, or at least consider, additional and new evidence. What emerged for me was a far richer perspective of how climate change is shaping the Adirondacks. I really believe that once we collectively recognize the symptoms we face, we can more effectively work together towards eliminating the cause. And if we embrace both mitigation and adaptation, we don't have to make only sacrifices, but we can seize opportunities proactively. Climate change is here and more is coming, yet what that change looks like on the ground is going to vary considerably from place to place and from person to person. And what that means for our communities and our environments is also going to vary. So the thing about adaptation is that it must take place and in time hopefully take root at the local level and the regional level. And of course this is where real political and social change also always starts. And I think that's a very promising notion. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Byer. Hey, everyone, I would like you to give a shout out to our American language interpreter, Tricia Schwartz. All right. Thank you, Tricia. Thank you for being a volunteer. Thank you for caring and helping us out. Hey, our next speaker is going to be Dick DeGraff from Grindstone Farms. Dick is the owner. Grindstone Farms is in Pulaski, New York, our near neighbor to the north. And wow, it's been involved in agriculture in Oswego County for over 60 years. He has been an organic farmer since 1988, so certainly one of the early ones. So let's have him say a few words here. Come on up, Dick.
Hi everybody. Can everybody hear me out there? Yeah. Let's get close to the microphone. So anyway, I see some familiar faces that we've been feeding for the last probably 30 years or something like that. Some of you have been with me for quite a while. Some hopefully are going to be new food consumers if we're able to grow food here in the near future. So I'm going to drop back to 1981. I was 29 years old and I bought 150 acres of land, which is on Tinker Tavern Road. Everybody know where Tinker Tavern Road is? There you go. It's an infamous spot. I found people in Mexico that know where Tinker Tavern Road is. And that's not Mexico, New York either. So, okay, fast forward to today. 150 acres is now 235 acres. I'm a little older and a lot smarter now, I think. Grindstone Farm was certified organic in 1988. It was our blueberries that were certified. Were the first thing, and now we grow a variety. I think we're down to around 60 or 70 different things, down from 150. So, and we are one of the original certified organic farms in the state. I want to let everybody know that I have encouraged more farmers. We have trained a number of farmers. We have Freedom Rains Farm just down the road from us. We're working with, mentoring. There's Wiley Fox Farm in Cato. There's other farms. We want to know that we do support all these people, and I hope there's more organic farmers in the future. So, as a farmer, I need to be intimate with my land. I've got to know all the characteristics of the soil. I've got to know what stays wet, what gets dry, what's some of the pests, some of the fertility issues, etc. Every year it's a little bit different, it seems. We look for the similarities, but every year is different. The only thing that's the same is some of you know, my wife Vic says that I tease her by saying that she worships the land that I walk on. So anyway, it's just one of those things that we try to worship our land, we try to take care of it. And the other thing I wanted to comment on is it's not just me. There's a whole raft of people that are helping me, and one of the people that's I'm kind of proud to say is helping take over is my son Lucas. So it was one of those things that he hasn't grown up yet like I haven't grown up, but he was raised on our farm and he knows some of the things that need to be done. And anyway, I'm kind of glad that he's taking over because maybe I can step back a little bit now. Right now I think I'm down to 10 or 12 hours a day, 6 or 7 days a week. So, and I'm going to throw a filthy plug in that we are looking for help. I don't care if you're experienced, as long as you have the desire to want to learn farming. We do have trouble finding skilled labor. We have trouble finding equipment that works all the time. We have problems with insects, etc. I'm not going to get much more on that. We're here to talk about weather. So I'm going to kind of touch base some of the things that I've seen in the 30 years. One of those includes seeing frost every month of the summer. Fortunately not the same year, but I've had frost July 8th. Very typically we have frost in June. This year, I hope we can get through May without a frost, but I am nervous. Really nervous. As the doctor just spoke earlier, we see highs, we see lows, we see all kinds of swings. I've had hailstorms that have shredded a whole field of lettuce. Well, I say a whole field. Our fields, fortunately, are small. So right now, we have a lot of things planted. We actually have over an acre that we're growing that's undercover. That's part of our mitigation effort to mitigate the climate change or what we're seeing in the swings in weather. So I'm used to seeing our plum trees blossom sometime around the early part of May. I'm going to say May 4th or May 5th. 3 days ago, they're in full blossom. What's this, April 29th? So we're about a week early now. I said something about frost in May or June. So chances are, as last year,